The more you love your work, the more likely you'll be exploited. Here's why paying a passion tax is costing you more than you think. Welcome to She Defined. I'm your host, Sharon Green, and today we're talking about the concept of passion tax and what it could be costing you. If you love your job and are passionate about what you do, someone is likely taking advantage of your enthusiasm. This is what organisational psychologist Adam Grant called out after discovering research from Duke University, which found that people see it as more acceptable to make passionate employees do extra unpaid and more demeaning work than they did for employees without the same passion. The researchers found that people consider it more legitimate to make passionate employees leave family to work on a weekend, work unpaid, and handle unrelated tasks that were not in their job description. In a nutshell, if you're passionate about your work, you're more likely to be exploited. If you find yourself doing things like regularly taking work home to complete after hours, attending work lunches or events on your days off, or doing tasks far beyond your job description, you are paying what is known as a passion tax. So what is a passion tax exactly? The term passion tax has also been referred to as enthusiasm exploitation and describes the expectation for people who do work they are passionate about to accept fewer benefits, poorer compensation, and inferior working conditions. Passion tax is rife within fields that are seen as glamorous, such as film and television, or emotionally rewarding, such as the education or healthcare sector. On one hand, it's understandable why this phenomenon would occur. Working in a field that fulfills your creative impulses or helps create positive social change can in many ways be its own reward. Passion can make us more dedicated and productive because the results of our labour have meaning beyond financial remuneration. However, it shouldn't be an excuse to perpetually expect people who love what they do to go above and beyond with no reprieve or material reward. Maybe you've seen it play out in your workplace, but have failed to recognise it. Let's take the example of working in social services, where burnout was always being discussed among your colleagues, often while you all worked through your lunch break to meet an impossible deadline or resolve a client emergency. You then bonded over your mutual exhaustion, ridiculous hours, the work calls you took at home over dinner, and your stagnant wages that failed to keep up with inflation. You and your hard-working colleagues probably became defeated, especially after being told many times that your under-resourced sector simply didn't have the budget to increase salaries, or enough staff to permit flexible working arrangements, or enough time to approve leave requests. These unpaid after-hours meetings and working lunches become the norm, and eventually, the most rewarding role turns into a source of frustration, fatigue, and resentment. Even after you've realised that you can't survive on altruistic satisfaction alone, you may be refusing to acknowledge the reality of your situation. After all, you've got people that rely on you, right? Meeting like-minded people with similar interests is one of the greatest non-financial rewards of working in a job of passion. However, it can make it difficult to put your own needs first, even in the face of burnout and exploitation, when you know your decisions will ultimately impact your entire team. The hardest part about resigning from a job you're passionate about, even if it has become draining, might be the tearful goodbyes to your incredible colleagues. Their support has likely been the thing to make the work more bearable, and you might feel guilty leaving them to absorb even more work. But taking the passion of employees for granted doesn't only harm the individuals and teams, it can create a flow-on effect for entire industries. Obvious examples arose during the pandemic, where frontline healthcare workers were expected to work harder than ever, often under terrible conditions. While verbal expressions of gratitude and virtue-signalling social media posts praised the dedication of our nurses and doctors, they were accompanied by little to no practical support or compensation for the risks and sacrifices they made. These were simply seen as part of the job. Failing to address the systemic exploitation of passionate employees can lead to mass staffing shortages and industry exits, disrupting the fabric of societal function and cooperation. The emotional reward, or labour of love, is disregarded as it doesn't directly generate greater profits and is not easily quantified. Yet it's also touted by employers and governments as if it were a sufficient substitute for actual compensation that supports the costs of living and enables people to continue doing what they love. Add to this the fact that caring professions or industries of passion such as teaching, nursing and childcare continue to be both underpaid and predominantly staffed by women, and it is clear that misogyny as well as classism and worker exploitation are at play. Perpetuating the myth that work that you love is not real work keeps passionate workers trapped in a cycle of generating wealth that they will never enjoy their fair share of. In her book, Work Won't Love You Back, Sarah Jaffe explores the modern tendency to conflate work with love and the increasingly blurred lines between our professional and personal lives as a strategy to diminish the value and legitimacy of certain types of work. Her analysis brings to mind all the clever job advertisements we've seen that shout about their fun work culture and family team environment, yet neglect to disclose any information about actual remuneration. This system is designed to allow already powerful, wealthy elites to grow even richer from the unpaid or underpaid efforts of passionate employees, while at the same time shaming those who find the courage to speak up and ask for the compensation they deserve. No one should have to choose between doing a job they enjoy and being able to keep a roof over their head. Even if you work in a field that you love, you should never feel that being exploited is a reasonable price to pay for doing so. Real systemic change is often brought about by a culmination of small individual acts of courage, like asking for a pay rise or saying no to an optional but encouraged unpaid staff meeting. Of course, not everyone is in a position to afford these risks, which is exactly why those of us who can should speak up as much as we feel comfortable to do so. Knowing your worth and asking to be rewarded accordingly will not make you any less passionate, productive, or powerful in whatever field you work in. If anything, it will help you bust the myths that there are two types of work: the kind that feels good and the kind that pays. The more we can break down these antiquated binary perceptions of meaningful work, the sooner we can arrive at a place where everyone feels liberated to pursue work that they are passionate about without having to sacrifice their financial, emotional, and social well-being. What do you think about the passion tax? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to She Defined. It really helps our channel and we appreciate the support. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.